Andy Cook, Brent Rooker, Buster Kelso, Darren Schoenrock, Ed Easley, Jeff Hopkins, Kerrick Jackson, Lane Burrows, Ozzie Timmons, Phil Clark, Tony Vitello.
Welcome to the Mid-South Baseball Report. I'm your host, Johnny Ray. Just a few days away from opening day at the University of Memphis, and I'm joined today by first-year Tiger head coach, Kerrick Jackson. Kerrick, appreciate you being here, and anxious to see what the Tigers going to put on the field this year.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is the second time you've been on the show, and first time was back in the fall. As y'all was prepping to play Arkansas Little Rock. I know from the time that you got on campus in June to forming your roster to basically what we're going to talk about today, but forming that roster, going through your fall practice, and now you're just a couple days away from throwing it first pitch for real. How's that process been for you?
It's been exciting. I think we have a talented group of kids. Again, as that we talked about back in the fall, changing the culture, having a higher level of accountability and on the field discipline. And that's where we're trying to grow with our program and with our kids in the program.
Yeah, I know you've got to be excited for many reasons. You've got a lot of things going on, not only putting your roster together, trying to prep for the season, trying to get your finishing touches on your field, but does the little knots in your stomach ever go away, or I know you're excited to play?
Yeah, you know what they do. You always get excited around this time when the season's getting ready to open up, and you want the best for each situation that you're involved in. But being in different situations now where I've kind of had the same deal where we're trying to turn some things over and get it going, we're playing the long game, right? And I try to stress that to our kids that we're playing the long game in this, and that the goal is that we go out and play clean baseball and continue to build upon that. And we're pretty fortunate that everyone makes it to our conference tournament, so putting ourselves in a situation where when it comes conference tournament time, we're playing the best part of our season, and we're playing the best ball at that time too.
Yeah, thankfully I've been able to see you guys practice a little bit, not only in the fall, but here in your preseason. I think you guys are very well prepared. I've just seen a huge attention to detail, and the kids look like they're excited and they're ready to roll too.
I think so. Yeah, I think, again, it's as we get closer, teaching them how to manage adrenaline and understand that the excitement and adrenaline will kick in. And if you go out to do something and you're already at 100, adrenaline is going to take you over at the top. We want to be at 75 and let adrenaline take us to 100. So teaching them how to manage that and how to manage their emotions, it's all in that process of building and putting them in a position to be champions.
Right. Well, we want to kind of start talking about where I think the best part of your team is your pitching staff. You got some depth. You got some very high quality arms. As you go through a season, normally you're a 3-game conference or a 3-game set on the weekends. You always talk about your Friday night guy. Who's your Friday night guy?
If we're, with us coming up into the weekend, we're probably looking at Dalton Fowler to be that guy, returning guy, older guy who's had some experience. One of the things that when I got the job, I immediately went and started watching video, and we've been able to figure some things out with him mechanically. We strengthened some areas of his body, and he's been throwing a ton of strikes, which is something he struggled with in the past. Stuff has gotten just a touch better as a result of that, so we're looking for big things out of him.
Yeah, I don't think it's any secret. You roll a big 6'6" lefty out there, mid to upper 90s. He's going to give you a chance, especially if he's throwing it across the plate.
Yeah, no question. He's been doing that of late.
And you got another one right behind him, Dalton Kendrick. You got two Daltons, both of them 6'5", 6'6" lefties with power stuff.
Yeah, and we're looking at Dalton to be in that back end of the pen. Again, another veteran guy who's been through a bunch of different things, been a starter, been a reliever. We like his mentality there in the back end. We know we can extend him even as a back end type guy, so he's not going to be your traditional 1-inning closer. He can go out there and give us 2 or 3 innings and be effective for those 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah, another guy I think probably missed a lot of the fall, but somebody that you're counting on leadership, experience. From the right-hand side, Carson Stinnett.
Yeah, Carson is, like you said, he was recovering from a little elbow surgery that he had had, but he's come back well from that and kind of easing his way back into it. He's been pushing a little bit, trying to get back to where he thinks he should be, and we're trying to kind of, dial him down a little bit and say, hey, that's going to come. Just get out there and get your groove back on the mound. But yes, he's definitely somebody that should be contributing as well.
Yeah, freshman that I've heard really good things about through the fall and early spring. Seth Garner, talk about him. I think he's got a chance to be really special.
No, there's no question. I think the biggest thing with him is not necessarily stuff, although his stuff is really, really good. Good, solid 3-pitch mix that he can throw any 3 of the pitches at any time for strikes. But it's the makeup and the mentality that he has. There's no moment that's too big. He gave up a home run in the scrimmage and comes right back after that and throws pump strike 1 and gets out of the inning. So whenever you can have a guy that has that type of mentality and understanding of how to go about his business, specifically on the mound as a freshman, sky's the limit. It's a big physical frame, pitcher's frame, and then you add that mentality to the mix. He should be a dude for us as we're moving forward.
Yeah, I saw him throw just a little bit recently, and he was pretty sharp. And I think the biggest thing with a freshman is, are they going to, especially on the mound, are they going to pick and kind of be afraid to challenge guys, or are they going to go right at you? And those freshmen, and any pitcher for that matter, but especially those young guys, if they get on that mound and they go right at the hitter, I think that most time breeds for instance success.
No question.
Couple lefties that you got in the mix, probably in your top 10 guys. Talk about J.T. Durham, Daniel Casto, and Logan Rushing. I think all 3 of those guys are going to be guys that going to fill a role for you.
No question. I'm a left-handed junkie when it comes to left-handed bats.
Never can have enough.
Never can have enough. And those are 3 guys that have come out, been competitive, throwing strikes with multiple pitches. And so those guys should put us in a great situation, be it as starters and or relievers. I think each of those guys will contribute greatly to what it is we're trying to do.
Yeah. Another local guy, right-hander, Hudson Ross. I mean, 6'10", that's a lot of projectability and a great frame to work with. How has Hudson progressed since he's been in the program?
Very good. Same thing. We kind of looked at some delivery things and kind of try to simplify it a little bit. And then just for him, I think it was just about confidence of being able to go out there and believe in himself. And, it's a guy that has been in college for a while, but limited innings. So the goal for us is to see what happens once he gets out there and if he can stay on track to what he's been doing for us this early spring.
Yeah, a couple newcomers to your program, one from the JC route and one from the SEC, both right-handers, Glenn Green, Dave Warren. Where they factored in?
Yeah, Glenn has been coming out and we've had him in a relief type role, tons of strikes, attacks hitters, knows how to work the running game, quick to the plate, just very savvy, can feel his position as a redshirt freshman coming in from Georgia. So we're looking for big things out of him in that relief role. And then as he grows and matures, maybe develops into a starter. Dave Warren should be a guy that pitches for us as a starter somewhere, either be it on the weekends or midweek. But 3-pitch mix, attacks his zone, competitive as well, has some savvy about himself on the mound. So we're very fortunate with both those guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, let's talk about your position players. A lot of newcomers into the program, but 2 guys that I know were a huge part of the previous season, and I feel like they're going to bring some experience and leadership. Braden Webb and Logan Kohler, both guys that got quite a bit of playing time last year.
Yeah, for sure. Right now Logan is slated in that third base spot for us. We may also play him at first base a little bit because it's a good defender with good feet, above average hands. Obviously at the plate, he's a run producer. So we're trying to get him to get into the understanding of driving the ball a little bit more. He can be very handsy at times, and hey, you're a big physical frame. Let's drive the ball and move it when we need to move it, but let's focus on driving the baseball. And then, like you said, with Webb, he's a guy who played all over the field, left field, right field, center field, on the infield as well. And so he's a guy that, yeah, he should factor in for us. We have a little bit of depth with our position players, not a ton, but he's one of those guys that he'll have the ability to be out there in multiple capacities.
Yeah. I want to talk about your middle infield. Always got to be solid up the middle. Jake Curtis and also Tyler Heckert both came from the same junior college. They probably a little used to working with each other and the familiarity of being around the bag and all that. They kind of the front runners be your starting middle infield.
Yeah, I think so. There was actually both Illinois junior colleges, but two separate ones. One was from Lincoln Land, one was from Logan.
Right, my bad.
Yeah, no.
I failed on my homework.
No, you're fine. But yeah, you know, you got Jake Curtis who won a Gold Glove last year at his junior college. He's also going to be one of our primary relievers, strike pumper, ultimate competitor. You know, I've not been around too many kids who just love to compete it no matter what it is, and he's one of those kids. And then Tyler Heckert, solid defender. The bat is a little bit short right now, but we're helping to make some adjustments to get a little bit more out of the bat. But he plays solid defense, has been playing solid defense. So in the middle, we should be pretty good with those two guys. And they're interchangeable parts. We can flip that if we want to. Curtis is more than capable of playing shortstop, and Heckert is more than capable of playing second base. We like Curtis at second base because, again, as a primary reliever for us, want to save those bullets as much as we can. But those two guys should put us in a position with Kohler to have a pretty solid defensive infield.
Yeah, it just taking another step past that on Jake. Family's legacy at the University of Memphis, being from Illinois, but you know, Jeff and Scott, his dad, you know, huge ties to the Memphis program.
No question, and I think that he embraces that, and so it makes it that much more important for him to come here and be successful because of those ties, which you can't find that anywhere, right? And that's worth its weight in gold when you have somebody who, before they even get here, they're committed to the program being successful, and he's shown that in every way possible.
Yeah, we talked about shortstop, second, third. Who's trying to win that first baseman's job?
First base right now is kind of a revolving door for us. We're trying to fit some different guys in there. You know, Anthony Hansen is factored in, Seth Cox, Shane Cox is factored into that you know, that equation as well. Braden Webb might play there, so we've kind of moved around a little bit there. But as we go into it, probably Anthony Hansen will be that guy that will stick in that first base spot.
Yeah. Moving to your outfield, I see two very athletic names that kind of just jump off the page at me, and one of them's kind of a local guy that I've enjoyed watching play through high school, through junior college, and he's transferred back here for his senior year from Mississippi State. Was part of the College World Series champion team for the Bulldogs. But Braylon Skinner, how's he come along for you?
Defensively, I don't think you're going to find a better defensive outfielder, specifically center fielder, in the country. Offensively, we're making strides, getting him to adjust his approach a little bit, and I think once he does that, he's going to be a guy that should wreak havoc for us, not only you know, in the outfield by taking away some hits, but also on the bases once he gets on there, because he's a plus runner. He has some baseball instinct and savvy about him, so it's just a matter of getting a little bit more consistent offensively to put himself in a position to be on base at a high clip, and then once he gets on, watch out.
Yeah, Cameron Benson, really electric athlete. Talk about Cameron.
Yeah, came to us as a shortstop, and the bat is his tool right now. We have some guys that are a little bit better on the defensive side, on the infield of things, but because he's so athletic, we have that ability to move him around and putting him, like I said, someone of his caliber in the outfield, even though he's never played out there before. There is a learning curve, but he's shortened that learning curve. He could easily play in center because you got an above average runner, like I said, plus athlete with an above average arm. So we're excited about him being able to move out there and embracing it, right? A lot of times you get guys that fight that change, but he's embraced that change and understands that that's what needs to happen in order for the team to have success, as well as for him to be on the field every day and have success.
Yeah, and you've mentioned that word several times since we've been talking, being interchangeable. Just looking down your roster, you see a lot of infield, outfield, or utility type guys, and that's, you know, as you're making a lineup out and being able to structure it to where it works best for you, having those guys that are flexible, it's got to be a huge benefit.
100%. You know, that's the one thing I tell specifically when you're dealing with freshmen that are coming in. Maybe a freshman comes out of his high school and he's a starting shortstop, and you know, again, don't come to me telling me you're a shortstop, tell me you're a baseball player. And so if I tell you put the catcher gear on, I must think that you putting the catcher's gear on is going to put us in a position to be successful, so embrace it.
Right.
And so the more guys that can do that, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah. Catching depth, who's winning your catching battle?
You know what, it's pretty tight right now. You know, DeBose, just as a returner and some experience of catching some games, but between he and Sutton, it's kind of neck and neck, and Either way, you don't go wrong with either one of those guys. They're also both producing offensively, so we're in a pretty fortunate situation when it comes to those guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Who are some other guys pushing for playing time at your position players?
You got R.J. Jefferson, who's a true freshman from the Springfield area, just a pure hitter, solid defender in the outfield. We're looking for some big things from him. You got Will Spears, who was a transfer, more of a defensive replacement type guy, but he's kind of put himself into that mix. You also look at, in addition, Dexter Swims, who's transferred from Missouri, has been swinging the bat really well. So we have a good number of guys that are vying for some spots out there to put themselves in a position to be in the lineup by doing some different things. And that's what I've told everybody is, at the end of the day, you have to have a role. Whatever that role is, pinch hitter, defensive replacement, pinch runner, whatever the case may be, having a role puts you in a position and puts you in the conversation, and then as you choose to expand that role, then that's on you to do that. If you don't have a role at all, then you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball with even getting a chance to be mentioned when it comes to being in the line.
Yeah, you got to be open-minded and just whatever you can do to help the team win.
Yes.
So it's on you. Here's the season. We kick it off Friday against Sanford. What does this team have to do, in your mind, to do better than they're currently doing for this team to be successful as a whole?
Play clean baseball. That's it. Throw strikes, competitive ABs, solid defense. We run the bases really well, continue to do that, minimize our mistakes, minimize the opportunities that we give other teams to get an extra 90 feet. And I think if we do that, then we have enough talent to be very, very competitive. If we don't do that, we don't have enough talent to out-hit or outplay our mistakes. So we have to be able to minimize our mistakes and just play clean baseball. And that's the one thing, again, that we challenge these guys to all the time. I don't need you to be an All-American. I need you to just go out and play the game the way you know the game is supposed to be played, and then let everything else take care of itself.
Right. Well, there's a lot of excitement in town. I know y'all are creating a lot of buzz with what you're trying to put together. I'm excited to see you guys play, and I know you can't wait. I appreciate you joining us today. Just to give us a little bit of tidbit on what's going on and down on Get Well. So appreciate it, and best of luck to you.
All right, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.